Well, something that you said to me before we started recording was enjoying what you're doing is the number one predictor, and you said this was based on some research for sticking to a habit, right? And so you've given us so many clues in that answer about how to set the goals and then make it enjoyable.
Yeah, that's what's been quite fun for me, quite frankly, is that after the book came out, there's been a bunch of replicated studies that show that we have definitely undervalued fun as a mechanism for doing the things that we want to do anyways, right? And so a lot of this comes from the wellness literature, but as you know, I really like Dr. Woolley out of Cornell. She's been doing a lot of amazing work here too. What we've learned, especially within the first 6 months of doing something new, whether or not you like to do it is by far the number one predictor of whether you'll stick with it. So how can someone take this insight and use it, right? Like if your goal is I just want to get fitter, then start thinking about the components instead of going, okay, well that must mean that I need to sign up for a gym even though just that thought is awful. But like that's going to be our go-to, right? Because what we've been told is going to get us to that point. Like back all those things that you think to be true and start to question them, right? Like is a gym the right environment? We'll just use getting healthy as a hypothetical goal. If you hate gyms, then start thinking about what are some other environments that might be would is nature something that you like to be in? Um, do you like to be around people and music? Maybe it's a group exercise, studio that's not that has your people, um, and then that's a good segue into people. Like, are you someone that doesn't want to be around people when you're doing this? So is it a solo activity that would that maybe you should figure out to be the main mechanism or lever, or you do like being around people and having that social contract of keep coming back would be something that would be motivating. And then the activity itself, right? Like giving yourself some flexibility and treating each one of those as an experiment. You might be like, you know what? I used to love cycling when I was a kid. I'm going to try it again. And then you find out you hate it as an adult. Like that doesn't mean you have to give up. Give yourself the flexibility to, be curious and play in that space until you find something that, is luring you back. People laugh now just because it is such a phenomenon, but I think that's why pickleball is, not just having its moment, but is like certainly here to stay because all of those reasons, right? It's a low barrier. You still get better at it once you play. And the people that play it tend to be really fun, and you can kind of pick your tribe because it's
Mm-hmm.
not like, you know,
Yeah.
and and then it's still, a good form of exercise, especially, like for folks that might have mobility issues or things like that. So again, I'm not telling you to go play pickleball. That's not,
Right, right, right. It's finding
yeah.
all those elements that work for you. I mean, and it reminds me back in before I had kids, I climbed mountains, but I would do it. It was a way to travel to with groups. Whether I had a friend with me or not. Go to Mexico, go to Russia, go to Nepal, and then work out in advance. So that because I didn't want to embarrass myself in front of a group of people, right? And then also get the experience of climbing mountains. I mean, it was a system that worked.
Yeah, and because I talked about it in the book, but my brother was an introvert, but he still wanted to be around people. So for him, he found a hiking group, and that was like the perfect balance.
Hmm.
Because I guess in most hiking groups, they attract folks like my brother. And so when he like realized, okay, I've had enough conversation, now I just want to engage in walking, he would pull off from the group because, that's the nice thing about a trail, right? And then you can catch up
Right.
um, and so just figure it out. And the funnest thing too is if you approach it with a level of playfulness and creativity, even if you have a few misses, like you can still chalk that up to having, a good time trying to figure it out what your jam is. Like, oh, I never want to do that again, with kind of a smile and a chuckle, right? Rather
Yeah.
than like, oh, this isn't working,
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Bringing in that agency to then keep improving the system.